Are we on, Trev? Are we on? Hello everyone and welcome to... Have you cleaned your finger? Have you brushed... Cut your nails, Trev? Welcome everyone to this episode of Beer Sweden Television. It is TV, isn't it, Trev? What we do?
Of course it's TV.
It's TV, is it? Okay, good. I like that. Today we are going to drink a beer that is not, and never will, get me drunk. What do you feel about that, Trev? Well, actually, obviously, as part of our responsible drinking policy here at BeerSwedenTV, I'm delighted to be able to try this beer. It's a beer that's had a lot of publicity recently, just come into the Systembolaget. If you haven't already heard of it, where have you been? Here it is. Nanny State, like that, Trev. Do you know what I like about it?
It's taking the...
Yeah. There's a beer called Nanny State in the Monopoly. Quite good, isn't it? Hey? Oh, I love all that. I just think
somebody must have laughed.
Can you see all that? It's like fate, or like all the irony of it. It's beautiful. Love it. Anyway, the beer itself is from those maverick micro brewers over there in Scotland. It's another Scottish beer, Trev. We did a Scottish beer the last episode, didn't we? Yeah. These guys are obviously from BrewDog, and BrewDog is a brewery that is producing some of the most sort of wacky, zany, envelope-pushing beers out there. I would say anywhere actually in the world right now. But they're from Europe, so we're proud of them. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. You're doing a great job. Some of their beers, I think it's fair to say, are a little bit unbalanced, Trev, to be honest with you. And this is, I got a feeling, in fact I know because I've drunk this all weekend, for the last week or so, is unbalanced. It's unbalanced beer. It's very, very BrewDog. So what we're going to do is we're going to open it first of all, while I tell you a little bit of the story behind the brand. BrewDog, once upon a time, look at this, Trev. I'm interrupting myself now, but look, I wanted to get a little bit ahead on this thing, just a little bit, just to show you that actually this beer looks like beer. It is, by the way, 0.5%. Didn't mention that, did I? It's rather important. It's 0.5% ABV. This is considered a low alcohol or no alcohol beer in the Systembolaget. You can drink this stuff until the cows come home, and you'll still be able to remember your wife's name. You'll still be able to remember where you live, your social security numbers, your personal identification numbers, that sort of thing. Very, very, very important part of this beer. It's low alcohol, but look at it. It looks just like a beer. So if you're actually wanting to sort of drink something that looks like a beer, if you're in a situation where you can't drink beer, for instance, if you're driving, you're working, you're pregnant, all those sorts of things, then perhaps this is the beer for you. Perhaps it is. Anyway, some time ago, BrewDog produced a beer called Tokyo, and Tokyo at that time was 18 point something. It was then at the time Britain's strongest beer, and it caused an outrage amongst some of the anti-alcohol sort of lobbyists, Trevor. And what happened was there was all sorts of bad press, and basically BrewDog were going to sort of bring down civilization as we know it with this beer, and all sorts of who's and ha's. So in response to the criticism that they received, the barrage of criticism, they produced in the UK Nanny State, and that was their low alcohol answer to extreme beer. And basically in the UK it was at, I think, 1.1%, but what they've done is that they've actually reduced it even further to 0.5% to sell here in the Systembolaget. Now the beer itself is titled as an insanely hopped Imperial Mild. Now we can argue about the stylistic points of that,
but they make them up as they go along, don't they?
Huh?
They just
make them up as they go along, so there's really no point. Right, so there's really no point at all. But I just want to read you a little bit of the hype, because the BrewDog stuff on the back, the romance on their labels is absolutely brilliant. Normally it's incredibly rude and arrogant, and this is no exception. But what they're saying is that they basically trying to... Nanny State is about giving the V's to ABVs. Quite like that, so they're quite good, these guys. They know what they're doing. But any assumption that low alcohol content lacks attitude, grit, and all of that is best reserved for, well, Nanny. Not quite so good, not quite so funny. But anyway, what they've done is that they've torn up convention. They do that a lot actually over at BrewDog. They pushed brewing to its limits, and they've ultimately created a beer that touts a small but feisty amount of 8 speciality malts. See, look, the wasps like it. That's always a good sign, Trevor. And if that wasn't enough, we've dry hopped this little beauty to the brink and back with the help of Amarillo and Centennial hops that create an all-out riot of citrus, orange and lychee flavours. Okay? Well, that's what they're telling us. Shall we give it a whirl, Trev, and find out for ourselves?
You held your
It
composure
may
there
have
as
very
well.
little alcohol in it.
You held your composure there as well. I ran off.
Did you see that? I'll tell you what, I have got, honestly,
Nerves are still.
nerves of steel. Thank God I drink with this hand. Anyway, give it a whirl, Trev. Even if it hasn't got much alcohol in it, give it a whirl. I tell you what, the nose on this thing is absolutely stunning. I have to say, by far and away my life, I've never smelt a beer with this much hop character at this ABV, full stop, and probably never will. That's a big statement, isn't it, Trev? It is, as they say on the bottle, a riot of citrus, orange, yeah, I suppose lychee as well, I suppose you could say that. And underneath that, and I'm talking like you're going to have to dig a long way, underneath that there's a very faint suggestion. Actually, no, there's not. There's no malt in this whatsoever, quite frankly. It's all about the hops. This is hop juice. If you've ever actually tried hop juice, concentrated hop juice, this is it. Be interesting to see what happens next. I'm going to try some.
Hoppy?
It is. Trev, it's fair to say that this is very hoppy. Do you know what? I can drink the whole bottle of this, can't I?
Of course you can.
Ooh. Normally I'm not allowed, normally I have to drink like a little, just a wee dram, but this I can drink the whole bottle of. Well, people, here it is, and this is the thing that confuses me about this. I don't know how I'm going to rate this. I really don't, because it's insanely hoppy. It is insanely hoppy. It's almost like you're licking batteries in your mouth. It's charging. It's sparking off. It's very, very bitter. It really does make your face pucker up. 8 speciality malts. Where do they go? I mean, it's horrendously unbalanced. It's all about hops. But you know, in some way, and I'll tell you what you need to do, and this is what I learned when I drank it over the last few days. You've got to let it reset the taste buds. You've got to at least drink 2 or 3 mouthfuls of it before you know your mouth. It's called habitualization. Did you know that, Trevor?
Not acclimation.
It's a scientific phrase for it.
Acclimation.
Acclimatization.
Acclimation.
Oh, whatever.
I don't
Anyway,
know.
what it means, we don't know. We're not like we're not English teachers, are we? We're beer drinkers. The point is, you need a few mouthfuls for your mouth to get used to it. That's the way of putting it. Because until and after that, actually, it becomes quite sort of sweet, tough love. But there's no getting away from it. If you don't like hops, you're going to hate this. You're going to hate it. Because really it's a one-dimensional hop juice. But, having said that, it's the most interesting, low alcohol, no alcohol beer I've ever drunk. So how do I rate that? Because as a beer, it's completely unbalanced. And I know it's deliberately so, but I would have liked to have felt, perhaps gone down a little bit on the IBUs. In the 1.1 version, I believe there were 225 international bitterness units, which is huge, or theoretical. I'm not quite sure what happens with the 0.5% version, but I'm sure it's still a shockingly large amount of IBUs in it. I could have definitely have done with that coming down a little bit, and maybe the malts just coming up a little bit. I know, of course, with 0.5% alcohol, you're going to get no fatness, no body to the beer per se. But you know, there could have been guys. Could have maybe just a little bit. Whatever. I know you're not going to apologise. You don't do that sort of thing. But anyway, a crazy beer, in your face, interesting. Rating, Trev. Shall I rate it as a beer or shall I rate it as a 0.5% low alcohol beer?
Rate it as a beer.
Rate it as a beer. Or shall I do both?
Do both.
We can do both, can't we? I'll tell you what I do like about it. You drink it. As a low alcohol beer, it's the best low alcohol beer in Sweden. And for that, I'm going to give it 3.8 out of 5. As a beer, it's horrendously unbalanced. Has no malt structure to it really to talk about. So I'm going to give it 3 E. 3.
0.0.
3.0. And I'm not sure if that's right, to be honest with you. I'm really not. I suppose what I'm trying to get to, people, go out there, buy it. It's 11 crowns 50 a bottle. You're going to throw all the stuff. You've already thrown it up, I'm sure. 11 crowns 50 a bottle. I mean, at that sort of price, it's definitely worth the shot. Serve it cold, by the way. Do make sure you serve it cold. But an amazing beer, really fun beer. Glad it's here. Really glad it's here. And I certainly will be drinking a lot of it over the next few months. And those very rare occasions that I'm not allowed to have a beer. So, until next time.